My name is Richard Cole. I'm 47 years old, married, a systems engineer, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood. At least, I used to think it was quiet. I'm not a man who talks too much. I go to work, I come home, I pay the bills, and I keep to myself. I've never been the center of attention, and that's always suited me just fine. But on that Wednesday, July 3rd, that all changed. I pulled into our street around 5:45 p.m., the sun still hanging stubbornly in the sky, baking everything in orange heat. From a distance, something looked off. There was a crowd gathered on my driveway. Neighbors, kids on bikes, phones in their hands, laughing. At first, I thought maybe it was a block party I'd forgotten about. Then I saw the sign. Before I dive into my story, I want to know, where are you watching from today? And as you listen, let me know in the comments how this story makes you feel, or if you've ever experienced something similar. Your thoughts mean a lot to me, and I'd love to hear your perspective. A massive vinyl banner strung across my garage door. Congrats to the new owner. Enjoy your ride. My heart slowed that I parked half a block away and walked the rest. As I got closer, I realized it was my car, my 1969 Mustang. That was the centerpiece of the whole thing. Balloons were taped to the mirrors. The hood had neon paint splashed across it. And the back window had something scrawled in pink. Thanks for everything, Richard, Lana, and Jake. My neighbor, my buddy. And Lana, my wife. Jake was standing there shirtless, beer in hand, grinning from ear to ear. Lana was next to him, filming everything with her phone like it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. "Surprethiaphus," she shouted. My jaw clenched. I didn't move, that didn't speak. She jogged over to me, laughing, and looped her arm through mine. "You should have seen your face, Rich. We got you so good." It took everything I had not to rip the phone out of her hand. "I don't get it," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What is this?" Jake walked over, still grinning. "Bro, relax. It's a joke. We wanted to see how you'd react. Lana told me how attached you were to this thing, so we thought, hey, let's pretend she's giving it to me as a gift. You know, like, here, Jake, take the car and the girl too, ha." He laughed harder than anyone else. Lana laughed too, the crowd laughed. But not me. That car wasn't just metal and bolts to me. My father and I had rebuilt it from scratch when I was 20. Every piece had a memory, every paint stroke a story. And now it looked like a clown threw up on it. Lana nudged me, still smiling. "It's just paint. It washes off. It's a prank. You know, haha." But it wasn't funny. Not even close. Later that night, after everyone had gone, I stood alone in the garage. I'd spent hours scrubbing the paint off, scraping glitter out of the vents, popping balloons one by one in silence. Lana didn't even come check on me. When I came in, she was watching Netflix, curled up on the couch, like nothing had happened. "Don't be such a baby, Richard," she mumbled as I walked past. I didn't respond. I went upstairs, took a shower, and stared at myself in the mirror. That was the night something shifted inside me. A crack, a flicker, a fire. And I remember thinking, you're not going to forget this. Not this time, not ever. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Lana acted like everything was fine. She kissed me on the cheek and handed me a coffee. Jake waved at me from his porch as I drove off to work. I waved back, but I wasn't smiling. I was planning. You'd be surprised how easy it is to disappear in your own home. All you have to do is stop speaking first. Then you stop asking questions. Then you stop offering help. Then, slowly, you stop being noticed at all. The morning after the prank, I drove to work like always. But I didn't hear a thing. Not the music, not the traffic, not the noise of the world. My mind was silent but heavy in a way I'd never felt before. All I could think about was how Lana looked when she yelled, "Surprise!" How she laughed. How Jake touched her shoulder. How close they stood together. At the time, I thought I was being paranoid. But when something humiliates you that deeply, you start noticing things. That weekend, I pretended to sleep in. Lana assumed I was just sulking. She didn't try to check on me. From the window upstairs, I watched her in the backyard with Jake. They were drinking again. She was in one of those loose dresses she wears when she wants attention. Jake sat too close, laughed too loud. Touched her knee. She didn't move it away. They were whispering, laughing. She threw her head back and giggled like a teenager. And when Jake leaned in to say something into her ear, she didn't flinch. She smiled. I went back inside and closed the curtains. My hands were shaking, but I still said nothing. Instead, I started paying attention. Over the next few days, I stayed quiet but alert. I checked Lana's phone while she was in the shower. Not because I wanted to, because something inside me needed to know. It was there. A thread of texts with Jake. At first, harmless. Jake, you two patch things up? Lana, he's being dramatic. As usual. Jake, LOL. You need a real man to cheer you up, Lana. Maybe I do. The messages didn't go further than that. Not yet, but the tone was wrong. Too familiar, too flirty, too comfortable. Monday night, she came home late. Said she stayed for drinks with co-workers. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and cleared the table alone. She didn't notice I'd set a second place. She never asked if I ate. On Tuesday, I created a new email under a fake name. Then I installed a keylogger on the home computer. By Thursday, I had access to her phone from my laptop. Photos, messages, notes. I didn't even feel guilty. I was done trusting. Jake started coming over more often. Sometimes for no reason at all. Just checking on my favorite couple, he'd say. One night, he brought wine. Lana was already half drunk when I came down. They were on the couch, sitting closer than I liked. She had her legs up. He had his hand resting behind her neck, too casually. I stood there in the kitchen doorway, watching. Jake looked at me and smiled. Want a glass, man? I didn't answer. Just turned around and went back upstairs. I kept a notebook. Every text, every glance, every lie. I didn't know what the end goal was, but I knew I wasn't going to stay quiet forever. On Saturday, I followed them. Lana told me she was going shopping with her friend Megan, but her friend had posted that morning on Instagram she was at a wedding in another state. So I waited, watched from my parked car as Lana got into Jake's pickup at the end of the street. They drove to a bar across town. Sat in a corner booth, close, too close. He touched her hand across the table. She didn't pull it away. That night, she came home smelling like vanilla and cheap whiskey. I was lying in bed, pretending to be asleep. She didn't kiss me. Didn't say a word. Just crawled in and turned her back to me. My name is Richard Cole, and I know what humiliation tastes like now. It's bitter. It's slow. And it sits in your throat long after everyone else has stopped laughing. But I'm not done yet. Not even close. People think revenge is about rage. About smashing things, screaming, exploding. But the best revenge isn't loud. It's patient. It's surgical. And it starts with control. I began by removing myself from the picture, quietly. First, I stopped using our shared credit cards. I opened a new account in my name only. I transferred small sums at a time. Just enough to avoid triggering any alerts. I changed all my passwords, email, banking, cloud storage. Then I bought a small storage unit in a neighboring town under a fake name. Inside, I placed 3 things: a hard drive, a duplicate of our home router's data logs, and a hidden camera kit, still unopened. I was going to need it soon. At home, I smiled more. I let her think I was moving on. I even joked about overreacting to the prank. You're just too serious sometimes, Lana said, laughing. I laughed too. That was the moment I knew I had her right where I wanted her. Because people stop watching when they think you're no longer watching them. Jake's visits became more frequent. Now almost every day. I welcomed him, offered him drinks, asked him about his job. I was polite, engaged, and behind every nod, I was collecting. One night, while Jake was in the bathroom, I snuck a glance at his phone on the counter. He had no lock. I opened his gallery. There it was. A selfie. Jake and Lana in our kitchen, her hand on his chest. I emailed it to myself from his phone, using a dummy account. Deleted the sent message, wiped the cache. Control. 2 days later, I installed the hidden camera in the living room. Inside a speaker. It was motion activated, silent, wireless. Another one in the hallway. One in the garage. Everything fed directly into the encrypted hard drive I kept locked in the storage unit. I didn't need speculation anymore. I wanted facts. Then came the audio. I left a voice recorder under the couch cushion. Another in the lamp base. And finally, I set up a decoy folder on Lana's laptop titled Taxes 2021. Inside, I placed a file that, when opened, silently sent a mirror of her activity to my private cloud. Emails, messages, deleted content. That's how I found the photos. Not just 1 or 2 dozens. Her in Jake's backyard in his truck some cheap motel I didn't recognize. There were messages too, filthy ones. Jake, wish I could sleep next to you every night. Lana, soon. He's so checked out he wouldn't notice if I left. She thought I was checked out. She had no idea I was checking everything. I built a timeline. I documented every suspicious outing, every lie, every screenshot, every message. I labeled folders. June 3rd, first touch. July 8th, motel. July 15th, kitchen camera footage. It was ugly, but it was mine. My truth. And I would own it. Meanwhile, I made myself invisible. At dinner, I let her talk. About nothing, about shopping, about shows. I nodded, smiled, took notes. I started cooking for her again. Brought her coffee in bed. Even offered to fix Jake's garage door with him one weekend. He called me the most chill dude ever. That's when I knew I had full control. I began my exit preparations. I called my lawyer, told him I suspected infidelity. Gave him my evidence. He said, with what you've collected, we could bury them both. I smiled for real for the first time in weeks. On Friday night, Lana came home late again. I was in bed, pretending to sleep. She whispered into her phone as she tiptoed into the bathroom. The audio recorder caught it all. He's asleep. God, I feel bad lying this much. But I can't stop seeing you. Jake replied a minute later to MY laptop pinged. Soon, babe. We'll figure it out. Oh, you will. But not the way you think. There's a strange calm that comes with certainty. When you know exactly what someone is going to do. And even more, when they don't know what you know. It started on a Monday. Lana had just left for her supposed book club. Jake's truck pulled into our driveway 10 minutes later. Right on schedule. I watched from my office window as he walked in through the back door, his own little routine now. Like a man comfortable in another man's home. I didn't stop him, because I had something better planned. 2 hours earlier, I had placed a manila envelope on Jake's front porch. No return address. Inside, 10 high-resolution stills from my hidden camera footage. A printed thread of his messages to Lana. And one line typed in bold. You made one mistake. You thought I wasn't paying attention. I didn't stay to watch his face. Didn't need to. I wanted him to read it after being in my house. After seeing Lana. After touching what didn't belong to him. 10 minutes after Jake entered my home, I activated the live stream. The cameras were all synced. Living room, hallway, kitchen. I watched from the storage unit. Laptop open, coffee in hand. Jake and Lana on the couch, clothes whispering. She kissed him. That was enough. I hit record. At 8:47 p.m., I forwarded everything, video clips, photos, text logs, to 3 recipients, my lawyer, Jake's employer, and finally, Lana's parents. I waited. By 9:12 p.m., Jake's phone rang. He stepped outside to answer. When he came back in, his face was pale. Lana asked what was wrong. He said nothing. At 9:19 p.m., her phone buzzed. She checked it, froze, then turned ghost white. She whispered, "What the hell is this?" Jake leaned over, reading with her. Then came the silence. I walked into the house at 9:34 p.m. They were both standing in the middle of the living room, phones in hand, stunned. Lana jumped like she'd seen a ghost. Jake stepped back. "Hey," I said calmly, placing my keys on the table. "You two look tense." "Richard," Lana began. "I know," I interrupted. Jake opened his mouth. Closed it. "Look, man, we didn't mean—" "Oh, you meant every second," I said, smiling. "Don't insult me with backpedaling." Lana's eyes welled up. "Please. We were going to tell you." I laughed. "You already did. Just not with words." I dropped the flash drive on the table. "Here's a copy of everything. You can keep it. Or frame it. Maybe use it as a wedding slideshow someday." Jake looked away. Lana tried to step toward me. I raised a hand. "No. Stay right there." She froze. I turned to Jake. "You lost your job, by the way. Check your inbox." He pulled out his phone, face draining as he read. "They fired me. Apparently, their company ethics policy frowns on employees screwing married women. Who knew?" I turned to Lana one last time. "Our marriage is over. I've filed. You'll be served by morning. And I've already separated the accounts. You get nothing. My lawyer will explain why." She gasped. "Richard. You can't just—" "I can. And I am." She reached out. "Please, let's talk about this." "No," I said. "You talked enough." To him. I walked to the door. Paused. "Tell Megan, I hope her wedding went well. She looked great in those photos. Must have been hard to attend while also lying to me about shopping trips." Lana's mouth fell open. Jake tried to speak again. I didn't let him. "Get out of my house," I said to him. Then I looked at her. "And get out of my life." That night, I slept better than I had in months. Alone. But finally. Free. People say revenge doesn't fix anything. That it leaves you hollow. That it poisons you, too. But I disagree. Because what I didn't destroy me. It freed me. It's been 6 weeks since that night. 6 weeks since I dropped the truth on the floor like a bomb and walked away without flinching. Jake moved out of the neighborhood. 2 days after losing his job, he left town without a word. I heard his wife found out too, not from me. From a friend who saw the video leak. Apparently, he's living in a trailer now, working temp jobs. As for Lana, she tried everything. Emails, voicemails, crying at the front door. I didn't answer any of them. I'd already moved into a small apartment in the city. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. The first few mornings were quiet in a strange way. No coffee brewing when I woke up. No muffled laughter from someone else's phone in the next room. Just silence, pure and honest. And for the first time in years, I didn't hate it. I joined a gym, started running again, started reading not because I had to fill the time, but because I wanted to. I saw a therapist, once a week, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I let it get that far before I stood up for myself. One day I passed by a car show on the pier. A guy was showcasing his rebuilt '69 Mustang. Same model, same color. I walked up, admired the shine, felt that old ache in my chest again, but it was lighter now. He saw me looking. Used to have one, he asked. Yeah, I said, smiling. It meant a lot once. He nodded like he understood. Hard to let go, huh? I thought about that for a second, then said, not as hard as keeping something that no longer respects you. The divorce was finalized last week. She didn't get the house, didn't get the savings, didn't even fight me on it in the end. Her lawyer said something about overwhelming documentation. I never responded to her last message, but I read it once. You were a good man, Richard. I just didn't realize it until it was too late. She was wrong about that, too. I wasn't just a good man. I was a man who gave everything. A man who forgave too much, who let people laugh at his silence. But not anymore. Last night, I made dinner for myself. Steak, real wine, jazz playing low in the background. And for a brief moment, I raised my glass, not to her, not to Jake, to myself, to the version of me that didn't die in that humiliation, to the version that grew from it. My name is Richard Cole. I was the punchline once. Now, I write the ending.